Welcome to the Open Mic Diary. My name is Indra Adele, and you have just stepped into a safe space. Just like in a diary entry, in this space, I am free to be my most authentic self, be vulnerable and honest about my feelings and emotions, and give you a front row seat to my various life experiences, my challenges, my victories, ups, downs, laughter, tears, and everything in between. Um, I'm turning my healing journey into our healing journey. And honestly, this is not your traditional podcast. This space is free flowing, hence the name Open Mic Diary. So expect anything. If you have not already, please go listen to the Allow Me to Introduce Myself episode so you have more context to me and the style of this podcast. Episodes, for the most part, will be uploaded in batches, but outside of that, I may decide to spontaneously upload episodes individually. So please make sure that you follow, subscribe, and have your notifications on so that you will always know when I post a new episode. I pray that my authenticity and my vulnerability in this episode blesses you in some way. Okay. I was talking with a friend the other day and we were just talking about like our faith in God, just our individual walks with God and kind of just how we feel about some things and growing and all of that, right? And it just made me think about like how different I approach my relationship with God now versus in the past. Now, I do not have all the answers. I am far from perfect. I'm still figuring it all out. I've been a Christian for about 12 years now. There's been ups and downs, great times, not so great times, times where I was in love deeply with the Lord, times where I was angry with the Lord, everything in between. I've officially experienced, I think, all of the emotions in my walk with God. There was a time where I just navigated my faith in a way that just really wasn't healthy. At least that's my perspective now. I had a very perfectionist mindset when it came to my relationship with God. It was a very works-based relationship where even though I would agree out loud that I don't need to earn my love from God, I don't need to do anything for God to love me, I would behave in a way that suggested otherwise. Anytime I felt like I made the slightest mistake or something that maybe God wouldn't be pleased with, I felt so much guilt and so much shame. And it would mess with me for days before I would kind of feel worthy to even be close to God. And so when I would be in that space, it would affect my prayer life. It would affect just really being able to allow God to go with me through whatever challenge or difficulty I was experiencing, because the shame would cause me to distance myself from God versus drawing closer to God. And so I would kind of hide in a way, and just beat myself up. And there was a period of time where I was in this cycle of that, and it was exhausting. It was exhausting. It gave me anxiety. I constantly just felt like I wasn't enough, and over time, I started to realize, like, man, this can't be like what this can't be right. You know what I mean? Like, if my relationship with God is supposed to be a safe place, and if God truly does love me unconditionally, and if I don't need to earn that love, if that love just is, right, nothing I can do can ever change or shift that, then why is it do I feel like God loves me less when I make a mistake? Why is it do I feel like God somehow doesn't want to spend time with me? Somehow doesn't want to be close to me? Somehow doesn't want to be involved, right? That somehow I'm like shunned, right? If I make a mistake, right? Or if I'm not doing something perfectly. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense at all. It literally contradicts who God says he is. And so gradually I just kind of started this process of kind of unpacking what was there for me. I realized that there was a lot there just in terms of just childhood experiences that I had that kind of, I was projecting that into my relationship with God and expecting God to treat me the way that human beings had treated me. And it's like, well, that's not God. That's people. And I need to really figure out how to separate the two. Not to mention, I was a part of a ministry that encouraged this way of being and thinking and going about Christianity. And so there was a lot of unlearning and relearning that I had to do. And again, I don't feel like I've figured it out perfectly, but I definitely feel like I navigate with a lot more grace, a lot more peace, a lot more internal just rest, and not this anxiety where I feel like I'm constantly trying to perform for God, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with works, right? With doing things for God. I think that's important. That's an important part for me personally. Just living my faith out, right? Doing things for God, or feeling like I'm allowing God to kind of guide me in my life. At the same time, that's not the basis for my relationship with God. And that's something that, as simple as it sounds, like, that's something that really, really, really released me from a lot of bondage in my spirituality. Just that realization that, like, and I think when you have children, it's easy to make this analogy, right? You know, I have 2 kids, and it's like, man, they do stuff all the time that pisses me off. Like, almost daily, one of them is guaranteed to do something that's either going to annoy me, anger me, frustrate me, or maybe that I just don't like it or don't prefer it. Maybe they did something that I told them they shouldn't do, or something that I warned them against, something that I explained to them why this isn't safe or why you shouldn't do it, and they've done it anyway. You know, like, that's what kids do, right? They're learning, they're figuring it out. They're prone to do something that doesn't align with what you prefer and what you know is probably best for them. However, none of that changes how I feel about them. Like, how I feel about them is not this thing that shifts and just changes and adjusts based on what they do from moment to moment, day to day, regardless of what they do. I love them deeply, unconditionally. There's nothing that they could do that could change my love for them as their mother. There's nothing that they could do. I might disapprove of their actions. I might be upset with things that they might do, for whatever reason, right? Whether it's a preference, whether it was an obedience thing where I said, hey, don't do that, and they did it anyway. Whether it was me looking out for their best interest, whether it was me imparting wisdom, whatever it is, like, there's nothing that they could do that could change the way that I feel about them as my child. Nothing. Right? At least, well, I'm sure there might be some exceptions in there. You know what I mean? It's like, but I feel like when you've created something, and obviously I know that I just on my own did not create my children, right? But I had a lot to do with bringing them into the world, right? It's like, even if they turned against me, I would be upset with their actions, but I would still love them as my child, right? Like that is just never going to change. Even just like meeting their needs, right? It's like, as their mother, them doing something that upset me would not cause me to now withhold good things from them, right? Or meet their needs. Like, I'm not going to not feed them because they did something that upset me. I'm not going to not make sure they're clothed, they're bathed, they're fed, right? Like, I'm not going to not take care of them. I'm not going to put them out on the street because they did something that upset me earlier that day, right? Like, so yes, they might do things that I don't approve of, but my love for them and how I show that love doesn't change. So it's not just love, like the emotion, the feeling, but also the love in action, like me doing things that suggest that I love them. Those things are not going to be withheld based on what they do or don't do from day to day. And so that thought process really helps me in my relationship with God, because it's like, if me as a human being, as flawed as I am, can feel that way about my earthly children, how much more then would God feel about me? Right? It's just like, and it just goes back to me, for me, it just goes back to like, if I'm created in the image of God, the things that I'm inclined to feel and do that are good are a direct result of God imparting that part of his image, right? It's like, the things that I'm inclined to do, the things that I feel, right? All of these things are, passed down from God himself, right? Because we're created in his image. It's like, I have that capacity to love unconditionally my children because God first loved me unconditionally, right? I have the desire to create and to do these different things. Why? Because the person who created me is the ultimate creator. It's like, these things are not like somehow unique to me or unique to the next person. It's like, these are bits and pieces of God that he kind of instilled or put in us, designed us with himself in mind. And so for me, it's like, if I could feel that way, how much more then would God feel towards me? And it's like, I think that I just operate now from a place of grace, right? It's like, I know that there are things I am screwing up at the moment. And I know that there are things I'm going to screw up tomorrow, right? But that's why I need God. It's like, if when I feel like I am the most uncertain, figuring it out, if I can't feel safe enough to draw closer to God, then what is the purpose of drawing closer to God when I have it all figured out and I don't need nothing? It's like, I need God because I'm not perfect, because I have periods of times in my life where I'm not figuring it out, or things are challenging, or whatever the case may be. And so I've just accepted that my life is not always going to perfectly align with every single preference that God has for my life, because I am a human being and I'm not a robot. I'm not perfect. And I would like to think that as I go through life, I learn from my experiences and I grow and I evolve and I change and all of these things, right? I would like to think that I am a lot more wise than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would like to think that I make better decisions as I go through life, right? That's the goal, is to continually grow and be better. At least that's my goal. And I'm also okay with what's actually true. I'm no longer like faking it till I make it. I'm no longer outwardly agreeing to believe that something is true for me when inwardly I literally don't know. I'm no longer pretending to have a conviction that I actually don't even know what I feel about that particular thing, that I'm still figuring it out. I've become okay with what actually is. Like, I've made space to accommodate the question marks, the confusion, the figuring it out, just the actual journey of aligning myself with God versus, hey, I know that this is what has been said that I should do, or I know that this is what the Bible says and I'm going to do it, right? And some things it's kind of like an obedience thing, right? It's like, okay, well, I don't really understand this fully, but God said it, so I'm going to trust that there's obviously divine wisdom in this, and I'm going to do it anyway. And then there's the human factor, where it's like, there are things where I may not carry it out perfectly. Or I may go back and forth. I may do it well here, not do it well, not do it well, right? Like, there's all these different versions of what it looks like to walk with God. And it's not this like straight line, and I'm just over the version of Christianity that portrays it as a straight line. Like, this is the line, you walk it straight, you don't veer from it, everything's perfect, you're perfect. It's just like, no. Like, eventually you get to a place where you just are lost. Like, what the heck? You don't even know what you're doing and why you're doing it, because you're not even actually present in it. It's like this robotic thing. And for me, it's like, I need to be able to actually be present in everything that I do, like emotionally, mentally, actually there, and not just doing things for the sake of doing things, or because somebody said I should do it, or because for whatever reason, right? And so I'm okay with whatever's authentically true for me right now. And if what's true for me right now is, hey, you know what? This particular thing I used to feel really sure about, but now I'm just not even sure how I feel about that. That is the truth. Like, that is the truth. And it's like, rather than pretending that that's not the truth, I'm just going to hold space for that. A week from now, that could change. A day from now, that could change. But it's like, whatever is true is true. And I'm just not pretending anymore. Like, I'm just not. And it's like, I know that God is loving me through my journey. And I know that I need God through my journey. And I feel like my relationship with God has evolved just so beautifully, because I no longer feel like I need to separate myself from God for any reason. If I'm struggling with something, or I'm having a hard, it causes me to draw even that much more closer to God, to pray that much more, to open up my dialogue with God that much more. And it's just like, it's great to know that I'm enough for God, that I don't need to do anything to like earn God's love, but that God will always welcome me in his presence, regardless of what I'm feeling, what I'm doing, what I'm faced with. And that's true relationship, right? Like, even just in human relationships, it's like, I've unfortunately had a lot of loss in friendships, and honestly, it's in large part because they were conditional. The moment I could no longer do for them what they wanted me to do for them, it was a problem. And those types of relationships I have let go, like a kite floating away in the sky. It's like, I no longer desire to try to cling to that thing. and be tossed and turned in all of the different directions it's going in. I'm not doing it anymore. It's like if I can't be in a dynamic where there's a mutual give and take, not equal per se, because how do you even measure that? But that there's just a mutual give and take. There's a space held for the individual person and their own journey, whether you agree or disagree on whatever. A space where you can be honest with the person, share what you want to share in love, not disrespect and judge, but where you can be honest and authentic, where you can disagree and be okay with disagreeing. Right? Like, where there's not force or an expectation for the other person to comply with something that you desire just because you desire it. It's like there's a respect there. There's an appreciation for the individuality of the other person and their own life journey. And I just don't place myself in relationships that don't have that anymore. I'm not doing the people pleasing. I'm not doing I'm not doing it. So I think for me, it's like, I'm just in this place in my faith where I love that I finally have given myself permission. And I don't mean finally as in like today, right now, maybe the past year or so, to be completely honest, like just in this space where I'm giving myself permission to figure some things out. I'm giving myself permission to be okay with whatever is true and be honest. Be honest with myself, be honest with God. God, you know what? I would like to get to this point where I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but I'm just not there yet, and I'm having a hard time with that, and this is why. Like, help me to get to X, Y, and Z. Like, just the truth. You feel me? Like, the truth will set you free. And that's what has happened for me. Being true, being authentic, not lying to myself, not portraying one thing when internally there's something else, has truly set me free. And I'm just able to navigate with a lot more grace. And it's allowed me to navigate other people with more grace. Because now I'm not looking at other people like, oh, you going to hell. Because you're not doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, you missed a Sunday service. The Lord is not pleased. Oh, you did X, Y. It's like, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be an expectation or a standard to like whatever, right? But when it's obsessive and it's just like you're more concerned about what people are doing versus their heart and who they're actually being and the authenticity, right? And their relationship with God. Like, if you're more concerned with what people are doing versus their actual personal relationship with God, I personally don't believe that that's the way to go. Hey, there's people that if that works for you, that works for you. That's great. I'm not here to judge anybody. Everybody believes what they want to believe. Just for me personally, in Indra's world, I've gotten to a place where there are certain ways of thinking and being and approaching my walk with God that just does not align, doesn't work for me anymore. And I feel like I've been able to grow that much more in my faith by releasing the burden of perfection and the burden of performance and the burden of caring what other people think. Because to be completely honest, it ain't your business anyway. Unless you're, in my circle that I call my dot, because it's more of a dot than a circle it's that small. Then yeah, you got permission to kind of slap me upside the head if I need it, right? Not literally, of course. or to give insight or to whatever, right? Like, there are people who have permission to speak into my life a certain way. Outside of that, it's like, I didn't ask you what you thought because I don't care. I'm just kidding. Maybe I care a little bit. I probably do care. But no, it's like people, sometimes weigh in or feel like they have a say in certain things. And it's like, hey, man, why don't you concern yourself with your own life and what's going on with you? Because there's some things that I can see from over here that need your attention. And you're more focused on me than you are your own life. What's the scripture? Take the plank out of your own eye before you try to take it out of somebody else. Yeah, there's some people that need to be reminded. And at the same time, there's grace for those people because I used to be that way. You feel me? Like, and at the time when I was navigating that way, I thought that I was right. I thought that I was doing the Lord's work. Okay. And I probably was. I'm not even saying that there's like a right or wrong here. It's just, I guess, realizing that I'm in a certain space and just being okay with being honest about that, I'm not judging any past versions of me because every stage of my walk was authentic based on who I was and what I knew at the time. And that's cool. But you live and you learn. And I've just learned to be okay with where I'm at and where other people are at. There are people who believe contrastingly different things than me. I'm okay with that. I don't need people to believe what I believe. Like, there's no force. I think that's the thing is, like, I've graduated from a place where it's like there's a must. There's a force. There's a have to. It's like, okay, I don't feel that way, but I can hold space for your journey and the fact that you feel that way and that's what's true for you. Cool. Okay. And maybe we can talk about why. Maybe I can better understand your perspective. Maybe you can better understand mine. Maybe we can learn from each other. And maybe after that conversation, we both come out feeling different things and believing different things as a result of actually being able to talk about it versus being concerned about trying to force the other person to believe what you believe. Like, when there's no force, you can actually benefit from a disagreement. Like, and I think that's what's so beautiful about it is, like, I'm not going into conversations anymore like, well, no, you need to, this is the right way. No, because I don't have all the answers either. I could be dead wrong right now. Dead wrong. And a month from now, have a wake-up call and be like, oh, I was wrong. Well, okay. It's like, I'm okay with that. That's the thing, is I know there's no shame anymore in being wrong or figuring it out. Like, I can acknowledge that with no shame or embarrassment versus before it was like, no, I have to know. I have to have all the answers. it has to be perfect. It has to be whatever. And if I was wrong or perceived wrong, there was shame or embarrassment with that. It's like, dude, that no longer phases me. I will readily admit that I do not know everything. There are things that I feel like I'm sure about, but I don't have all the answers. I really don't. And I'm learning just like the rest of the world as I go. And I think the sooner we can all just like be honest about that, it just makes things easier. You feel me? It makes it easier to just love other people and hold space for other people and where they're at, So I'm just grateful to have a relationship with God. I don't know where I would be without God in my life. I don't know where I would be without just the ability to pray, the ability to cry in the presence of God, the ability to read scripture, to be encouraged. Like, worship is a miraculous experience. Sometimes all I need to do is just be in the presence of God and have some time to worship the Lord in music, right? And it's like a game changer for me that day. It's what saves me mentally that day. I'm grateful for that. You know, I truly don't know how I would have gotten through certain things in my life without access to the Lord. And so my faith, my relationship with God is something that nobody can ever take away from me, because nobody can ever undo what God has done for me. I can't unsee certain things. I've seen miracles in my own life and in other people's life with my own eyes. I've seen God do things in my life and in me that are unexplainable. And so when you've seen too much, nobody can, like, there could never be a time where I could just not believe in God, because I've seen too much. I know too much. And I'm not going to get into all of that because, yeah, conversation for another time. But I've seen too much to abandon God. It's just, so it doesn't matter what I'm going through. Even if I'm in a season where I am very frustrated and confused in my walk, I will still never leave. I will be frustrated and stay and work it out. I will stay. I will be angry. I will cry. I will whatever. And I will work it out with God in dialogue. I will vent to God. I will talk it out with God. I will work it out with God until we work it out. Because I know that whatever it is I'm feeling is not based on the fact that God isn't who he says he is. Because I know that that's true. And so it's like my emotions or life circumstances or situations don't determine my relationship with God. That's something that is and will always be. And holding space for the ups and downs, the in-betweens, the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows. Because that's life. Because that's life. Yeah. So it's nice. I appreciate the people in my life that I can have conversations with, like honest conversations with. And know that they can share their opinion and their feelings and it's not going to bother me. And also know that we can hold space for what's true for the other person without force. Without force. I think that's love. That's an element of truly being able to love another person, when you don't always feel the need to force them to do something just because you feel like they should do it. Anyways, yeah.